buzzkill.
No.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the first episode of the Mediocrity Podcast. I'm your mediocre host, Mike Forrest. The idea of this podcast is to focus less on the stories of the star players. Instead, I want to hear the stories from the other guys, the veteran players, the utility guys, the journeymen, the bench guys, maybe a coach or two, maybe even a producer, a broadcaster. That's kind of the goal of this podcast. Now, this episode is brought to you by Can Do Crisp Bar. It's the number one tasting keto-friendly bar on the market. Remember, it's not what you can't do, it's what you can do. Our first guest for episode 1 is a 10-year, or actually 9-year, this will be his 10th year, veteran and current Texas Ranger relief pitcher, Kirby Yates. Enjoy. Welcome to episode 1 of the Mediocrity Podcast. I got to tell you, when the sports world found out that I was hosting a sports podcast, the phone was ringing off the hook to be episode 1's first guest. Michael Jordan, Wayne Gretzky, Joe Montana, the list goes on and on. LeBron James didn't pick that call up, though. And I told him, listen, guys, eventually I'll have you guys on, but I wanted to have a good buddy of mine to be the first guest. Everybody, let's welcome Kirby Yates. Kirby, thanks for doing this, buddy. Thanks for being guest 1.
Cheers. I appreciate you answering my phone call when I volunteered myself to be up.
And Kirby was nice. Usually the host brings the tequila for the guest, and Kirby brought this straight from Mexico where he was on vacation. And well, as you can see, we've been drinking it. So
a little bit.
Anyway, thanks again for doing this.
Absolutely.
Let's just go in it. What have you been doing this off season? Usually we golf, I should say.
Yeah.
Haven't golfed with you once this off season, so I don't know if you lost my number or what's going on.
Well, I haven't played as much golf as I usually do. It's been, sporadic. I've yet to play, I think, since I've been home from Mexico, which is going on 2 weeks now.
And how was the Mexico trip?
Mexico trip was
pretty
great.
Crazy.
Mexico trip was great. Even when I went to Kauai for 2 weeks, and usually I play probably 3 or 4 times in a 2-week span. I played once. I mean, I just have not. So it's not you.
Okay,
it's
so
me.
was it okay? So I'm not big leagued off of your roster. Okay,
not yet.
That's
not
good.
Yet.
Not yet. That's good to know. I will say he did invite me to he threw an epic holiday Christmas party. Usually when people throw Christmas parties, it's usually like come as your favorite Christmas character or a ugly sweater contest. He decided to have a white trash Christmas party. So that was a good time.
It was a redneck Christmas party.
Redneck?
It was a redneck.
Oh,
Christmas
redneck.
party,
Sorry, we don't say white. We don't say white trash. We don't want to get anybody in trouble. I guess redneck Christmas party. So that was a good time. A lot of margaritas drank. A lot of beer pong played.
A lot of beer pong. It was a good party.
There might have been a keg stand or two.
A few.
So that was a good
took
time.
me back. I think it took everybody back to their younger years, right?
Yeah.
It was great.
It was great.
I told my wife, I was like, I think we should get a keg. She's like, what? I was like, a keg. It's like, I think this will go over well.
And we couldn't do keg stands without it, so it was a smart idea.
It's good.
And of course, my wife won.
Your lovely wife, won the costume.
On the costume. Tammy Lynn.
Tammy Lynn won.
She stayed in character at the entire party, if that wasn't fucking annoying enough. But anyway, that's what won her the contest.
I thought it was impressive.
Yeah, it was.
I thought it was impressive.
It wasn't bad.
Buddy the Elf showed up.
Yeah, that was the funny that most people came dressed as rednecks, and the old Quinny and his girl came as Buddy the Elf.
Buddy the Elf showed up.
You can always count on Quinny to deliver a costume and a good time. So
it was great.
That was great. Good. I kind of wanted to start just kind of how you performed this year. You had a great year for the Braves, kind of how you assessed the season for you, because it's really the first full season you've had in what, 3-4 years?
3 years, pretty much. I think, like, if I could go back a year from now and say that, like, hey, you pitched the entire year healthy, yada, 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 your numbers look like this, 100% last year at this time, I would take it. I think going into the year, the number one thing that I had to do for myself and basically for me to keep playing is like I had to prove to myself that I could stay healthy for a whole
Yeah.
season. And I did that. I would say that I didn't really necessarily like feel good in April and May.
Okay.
It probably took to the middle of the summer, kind of closer to August, where I really felt like, all right, my arm's starting to bounce back the way it used to. Like, I'm capable of doing this again. Like, I can go out there and pitch back to back nights. I can do everything. I can have a quick warm up. I can go into the games. I can do all the things that are taxing on your body to make you have to go do your job. So sitting here now, it's like, all right, like the health questions in the rear view mirror, I don't have to worry about that. So,
Is that a mental too? Is that a mental block after that long?
Yeah, I think like you don't ever know, like after you go to like have surgery, you were this once, you're not that anymore.
Right.
You just had surgery, you're trying to climb that mountain, but you're nowhere near that anymore. So like the uncertainty of like, well, am I ever going to be this good again? Am I ever going to get a chance to even be that good? Like there's just a lot of uncertainty that comes with that, and that's part of it. But slowly you can kind of gain steam to gather your confidence and get the bearings back spinning in your way and be like, all right, I can still do this and I can do this at the level that I expect to.
Yeah. Well, you had a great season. Like you said, maybe off to a little bit of a slow start the first couple of appearances, but then you were dialed in. I mean, I think what opponents had a 180
Yeah.
average against you. I mean, you might have walked probably a few more than you wanted
I would
to,
say
but that goes with striking out a lot of guys.
I didn't give up a lot of hits. I
No?
struck out some guys, but I do think that a part of a lot of the whole equation turned out I was effectively wild.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
effectively wild. And I think guys caught on and they would, some of them wouldn't swing the bat and I would walk them or I would strike them out.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? It's just, that's kind of how the league goes. It's like, especially if you have a reputation, like guys are going to go up there and they're going to try and eliminate everything off, like whatever they can off you. So if you're walking guys and they know you're going to walk guys, like they're going to make you throw strikes.
Right.
And that's just how it is. Like you have to go out there and you have to throw strikes. So, I mean, for 3 years off, I thought it was good. Like I said, the number one key was staying healthy and I did that. And, I can move on from it now.
Yeah. And you guys had a great year. Obviously, I think you had the best record in baseball. Obviously,
Yeah.
the playoffs didn't go your guys' way, which was a little disappointing.
Yeah, it was tough. I mean, that's, sitting here, that might be the best chance I ever have to win a World Series.
Yeah.
You don't know what the future holds. I landed with a good team and we're definitely capable of doing that. They're defending world champs, but
Right.
last year, I mean, there were times where on Team Braves, like we were just rolling through anybody and everybody, and it didn't matter. And anytime there was a big game, we were up for it. And playoffs, it didn't happen.
Yeah, that's baseball, right? So
Yeah.
what are you going to do? How was your first? Because that was your first playoff appearance.
Yeah.
Correct? How was that for
I
getting on the
was-
mound for that first time out in that atmosphere?
I was way more nervous the night before.
Really?
Yeah, and I didn't pitch. I didn't even sniff the mound. But the first day, I was really nervous. But the second day, I was calm. I was more like, let's just put me in the game. Let's like go win this. Or
And it's
You
tough
know what I
because you
mean?
never know when you're going in, right?
no, it's kind of hard. I mean, I had an idea. Like if we were down, like it'd go in. And for me, those games are a lot harder because it feels like there's more pressure on
Yeah,
you because you
yeah.
can't win the game. You can only lose it. You know what I mean? Like if you go in with a lead, you're going to help your team win the game. It's like it's kind of hard to help your team win the game when you're already losing.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
So it's one of those, but ultimately it was a great experience. I hate the way it ended,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, it's too bad. But like you said, you move on, as you kind of just briefly mentioned. So you signed this offseason with the World Series champion Texas Rangers. Why'd you pick the Rangers? And do you put any extra pressure on yourself knowing you're going to a World Series champ? Like, is there a little more added, like, fuck, I better get done? They're expecting to get back there again.
so first part, I had some other teams interested. But once Texas got involved, it was a no-brainer
Yeah,
for me.
I imagine.
Arizona spring training, it's Texas. I like Texas. I like the organization. I have some built-in relationships within the front office and people that I've known for a little while now that were, I knew them from San Diego a
Yeah.
little bit, and just everything felt right about going to Texas. Second part, no, I don't, it's weird because I've already done this. Like I went to the Braves the year after they won a World
Right.
Series. So like I kind of know what to expect. And, nobody's going to put more pressure on your, like, nobody else is putting more pressure on you than you already kind of put on yourself. So it's like I don't want to go there and suck anyway.
Yeah, of course.
Whether they've won the World Series or they haven't, like I'm going there to, you know, same mindset, same everything, to pitch as good as I possibly can pitch, whether that's for the defending World Series champs or what other team that is. That whole mindset doesn't change. Now I'm going there to help a really good team win,
Right.
which is all, you know, a little bit more exciting than if it wasn't a good team, and you know, all of that. So it's, you know, I don't think the mindset changes at all. You know, the difference is they've already won a World Series and you haven't. So.
Right. Yeah. Well, let me put a little pressure on you. As you mentioned, you went to the Braves right after they won the World Series and you got shit out.
Yeah.
You go to the Rangers, they don't win the World Series again. You start getting labeled the curse. You know what I mean?
Cancer guy.
You're the cancer guy.
Yeah.
You know, so don't let, you know, I don't want to put that in the back of your head for this season, but a lot of pressure.
Yeah. Let's go. We need to
I'm
go.
just kidding. I'm
It's
joking.
all good.
Do you know what role you're going to have yet? Sixth, seventh inning, eighth? You're usually obviously back end guy. So
Yeah, look, I don't know. I mean, you know, they don't come out and tell you, right?
Yeah,
Like, you know
okay.
what I mean? And the bullpen, they all, like, everybody has a plan going into the season, right? But like, guys pitch better, so they pitch themselves in the roles. Guys pitch bad, they pitch themselves out of roles. So like, you have to pitch yourself into a high leverage role. So
right.
you know, I'm sure if I pitch well, it'll be a high leverage role. If I don't pitch well, I'll throw earlier. You know,
Right.
that's just kind of how the bullpen works.
Yeah, it's on you. I'm sure you'll be pitching out of the seventh or eighth inning.
Yeah, you know, I
so.
mean, I expect to, but like I said, I don't control
Yeah,
those things.
yeah.
The only thing you can control is
The controllables.
the controllables, your intent and your preparation.
Exactly. All right. Well, I wanted to kind of let's start where it all began. You were lucky enough. You grew up in a place where most people vacation.
Yeah.
You grew up in Hawaii. Grew up on the island of Kauai.
Mm-hmm.
How was that? How was that experience? Kind of growing up in paradise, really. I mean, sunshine, beaches, tan girls in small bikinis. You know, just living the life. How was it growing up as a kid? And you were born there, right?
I was born and raised
Okay.
there. Yeah, so me and my brothers were all born and raised there. It was great. Look, I had the best childhood probably anybody could ask for. You know what I mean? I mean, summers would come around, and by the time I was, I don't know, 7 or 8 years old, my mom or dad would drop me off at the beach, give me $20 for lunch, and they would tell me to be on the curb at 5:30.
Yeah,
And
how good
I
is
would spend
that?
the entire day, all summers, at the beach. And
Yeah.
they'd show up at 5:30, I'd be at the curb, and then I'd go home. And we did that all the time.
Yeah, that's
And
nice.
so-
Did you surf?
Yeah, I mean, I bodyboarded a lot growing up, and then once I, you know, probably right out of college, I started surfing a lot more. Like we'd all like surfed and whatever. I just bodyboarded a lot more because it was easier.
Gotcha.
And so once I kind of got tired of that, I got bored of, so I started surfing a lot more. And so, like, once I signed my professional contract or whatever, like my off seasons are great because all I did was go home and surf and work. You know what I
Yeah, it's
mean?
nice.
And play catch. So the best off seasons out of anybody.
Yeah, you can't surf, golf.
Yeah, you know, I worked at a golf course, so like I had it timed. Like, you know, we didn't make any money in the minor leagues back in the
Right.
day, so it's like I had to thank God for my boss because he understood everything and he was pumped that I was playing, and still to this day super supportive of me. But you know, I could tell that you know, the season's getting close to done, so I'd like text him like, hey, any chance I can get on the schedule in like a couple weeks? And he'd be like, yep, sure enough. And I had to, because if I didn't get on the schedule right when I got home, I'd run out of money immediately.
right.
You know what I mean? Like I'd come home with like $100 in my
Yeah.
bank account. Like that was minor league baseball. So
that's nice. Jealous.
and you know, so Kauai's, I mean, the
It's a
coolest.
smaller island too,
Yeah,
right?
it's a small island.
So
So
how
it's-
many people were in your high school?
my graduating class was like 250 maybe.
Oh, really? Your graduating class?
Yeah, my graduating
That's actually
class.
bigger than I
So
thought.
it's like, I think the total school is almost close to 100,000.
Okay,
So like the 4, you know, freshman, sophomore, the whole,
Yeah.
there's almost 1,000.
which is bigger than I thought.
There's
it was
only
for some
3 high
reason.
school, like 3
Oh, on the
public high
entire
schools on the
island.
entire island.
Gotcha. Okay. Now I imagine you were probably one of the star players on the baseball team then at that point? Probably what positions? Obviously, you pitched. I imagine you also played shortstop or third
I
base.
played third base sophomore and junior year. Junior year, I was actually first team all state for one of the newspapers. And then senior year, I played shortstop and pitched, and then I was like first team all state. I think they gave me like a utility or something like that. But yeah, I mean, but I you know, I won the KIF Player of the Year back to back years.
Yeah.
Junior,
So
senior
I imagine you were probably hot shit around your high school then.
Yeah.
So I did a little research. I did a little research, and it so happens that Miss Teen USA runner up went
Oh,
to
Sonia Balmores.
Sonia went to your high school. So I was
Yeah.
wondering if that was your homecoming date.
No.
Did the most popular guy in school score Miss Teen USA or
No,
no?
not this guy.
Oh, that's disappointing. When I saw that, I was like, "Oh, Kirby's gonna have some stories for us there."
No, it's also she was like a Roxy model. Her sister was a Roxy model. I know like the whole Balmores family is really like they're surfers, like
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know what I mean. So everybody knows everybody. And then she was really good friends with one of my neighbors growing up. So like you know everybody.
Yeah,
Like
sure.
it's kind of like I said, like the small knit community. It's
Yeah.
just like so when she's like won Miss Two USA, like everybody's pumped for her, like,
Of
oh my
course.
god, like because you gotta understand, like we're in the middle of the Pacific Ocean.
Yeah.
It's just this little island, right? You know, so when you see people go off and do
Yeah.
things, like everybody's just like, yes, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's great. I was I saw that. I was laughing, but you weren't stud enough to
No.
score. So I'm sure you did fine though. We don't have to go into that. So
Struck out a few times.
hey, that's the game. It's a numbers game. It's a numbers game. How did you mention it? Because it's a small island, and when anybody does well, everybody's kind of rooting for them. Playing baseball, how do you get eyeballs on you for colleges? What do you have to do? Were you on a travel team? Did you have colleges looking, like you said, you were all state? Did you have colleges interested in you? What colleges were you kind of looking at or hoping to play for?
I mean, you had University of Hawaii.
Right.
Outside of that, like 4-year schools, I didn't really like have any attention. So
But Hawaii was interested.
Hawaii was interested. I went to they still play this tournament, the Senior Fall Classic in Arizona and Peoria. It's like so I went there in October one year. My senior year is the first time I'd left Hawaii.
Really?
Yeah, it was the first time I'd ever like really left Hawaii. So flew on the plane, got here, played, and then I got like a lot of junior colleges. My grades sucked.
Yeah.
So I had a lot of junior colleges call me, and then that's how I linked up with Sky Smeltzer at Yavapai, and I ended up going to Yavapai.
Okay. Gotcha. Yeah, I imagine it'd be hard to maintain a GPA.
Yeah, I mean, before I
gotta
went,
be honest with you.
before I went to play in that tournament, like there was some calls, whatever, but like once you went there and people actually got eyes on you, it's like, oh, all right.
And you weren't interested in going to University of Hawaii? Were you kind of at that point like, you know what, I've grown up here my whole life. Let's see what the mainland's all about?
Well, I wanted like I didn't really want to go to school for 3 years. Like I kind of want to keep my draft options open because like I had a feeling I was going to get drafted my senior year.
Did you get drafted out of high school?
Yeah.
Okay, so the Red Sox drafted you, right?
Red Sox drafted me. I didn't sign. So that's kind of why the reason I wanted to go to junior college, because I wanted to keep that all. Before they had draft and follow, like the Red Sox drafted me. They had the rights up until next year, like 2 weeks before the draft.
Okay.
So like if you raise your stock, like you can kind of leverage them into like giving you more money or whatever. That's just the way it used to be. I mean, I blew out, so I never had that opportunity, but like that was kind of.
So you didn't sign with them right out of high school because you were hoping I'll go to the JC, raise my stock with them and get more money because they'd own the rights to
Not
you?
necessarily. I just wanted to keep my options open.
Okay.
Because I could still transfer, and I wanted to go play. I didn't think I was going to play very much if I went to UH. And like, so I was like, well, I need to go play. Like, I only play 20 games a year.
Right.
Like, I need to go somewhere where I need to play. And so that was kind of the thought of going to junior college.
Okay. And how was the experience at Yavapai?
Awesome.
Like you said, you blew, but you were injured the first couple of years there? Or?
So I got injured my first year. Like literally my first game I pitched in college, I blew out my elbow.
Really?
So I missed that year. I missed the next year, and then
Tommy John, I imagine.
Yeah, Tommy John. Okay. And so then I pitched the next 2 years, and I was going to transfer back to UH, but I ended up going back to Yavapai.
How was Yavapai? Was
It
it
was
cool? I
fun. It
mean,
was
that's
good.
in Prescott, Arizona. For
Yeah.
most people that don't know
I mean,
where
I had a great.
Yavapai
I
is, but
still have a great relationship with my coach. I play golf with him. Like he's, he was like turned into my second dad at a point. You know what I mean? But like that's the cool part about going there is like the relationships that I built there, and the baseball is great. It was a lot of fun, and I learned a lot.
so after your Yavapai, you didn't get drafted again. Is that you? Did you get drafted
So no,
after?
I went 2 years. I went undrafted, and then I signed a non-drafted free agent contract.
Okay.
I signed with Tampa.
Okay.
Um, so I mean, this is kind of a wild story. Like I don't know if I was expecting it to get drafted, but I thought I probably would.
Sure. Well, in your head, you're hoping, and
Yeah.
you had a decent senior season, right? Or your
Like,
whatever your last
yeah.
season's considered.
I
at
thought it
Yavapai.
was okay. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I didn't know.
Well,
I got
apparently
drafted.
it wasn't.
It was not good enough. But me and my dad were like cooking steaks, drinking beer at home, and he's like, "What are you gonna do now?" I was like, and I had a full ride to go to not a full ride, but I had a scholarship to go to like Mesa State,
Okay.
Division II in Colorado.
Sure.
So I was like, I'll just go there.
Yeah,
And
of course. Yeah.
I was like, I don't think I'll get drafted anymore. Like, I think that window's done, but I don't know. I'll keep playing. They said they'll let me hit, so I was pumped about that. And he's like, all right, well, that's like, I know you're bummed, yada, yada, yada. So I go to sleep, and it's like my phone rings at like 6:45, 7 in the morning. And that's like, I'm not waking up that early. Like, who's calling me? And I answer it. Hello? Like, hey, Kirby, this is, name is Jason DeRocha. He's a scout for the Tampa Bay Rays. He's like, hey, I'm Jason DeRocha, a scout with Tampa Bay Rays. I heard you just want to play baseball. I'm like, yeah? Like, who are you? He's like, I'm a scout for the Rays. Like, I'm offering you a roster spot in rookie ball if you want it. And I'm like, what? Like, can I call you back? He's like, yeah, sure.
You're like, let me check if this isn't a prank
Sure.
call.
So I mean, at the time, my brother was still playing in big leagues too.
Right, that's the other thing that's incredible. Your brother made it to the big leagues too.
So my brother's in big leagues, and so I call him. I'm like, dude. He's like, bro, what do you want? You know what I mean? Like, why are you calling me so early at your time? I'm like, dude, this guy just called me, and he told me he's got a roster spot and like a contract for me if I want to play baseball. He's like, what'd you tell him?
I said, I thought he's full of shit.
I said I'd call him right back. He's like, you're an idiot. He's like, don't you want to play? I'm like, yeah. He's like, well, fucking call him back and tell him you want to play. And I'm like, all right. So I call him. I'm like, hey, dude, don't give the roster spot. I want it. And he's like, he kind of starts laughing. He's like, okay, perfect. We'll be in touch. And 2 days later, I flew all the way from Hawaii. I was in Princeton, West Virginia, going to rookie ball.
Wow, that's sweet.
Yeah, and so that's how it kind of all started.
And then you kind of stuck around in the minors for a little bit, right? How long were you in the minors before? And walk us through kind of what life is like, because as you mentioned earlier, you guys don't really make, especially then, you guys don't really make shit in the minor leagues. So how was life in the minors? I imagine there's some great parts about it and some shitty parts about it.
Yeah,
So
I mean, like, it sucks because you're broke, but it's also awesome because you're all in it together and you're playing baseball. Do you know what I mean? So it's like it can be, obviously Princeton, West Virginia is a little different, and like you got a lot of college kids coming from big schools, and they go there, and they're like, a lot of people didn't like it, but like,
sure.
I didn't care. I was like, I'm getting a chance to play baseball.
Right.
I'm pumped on this. So played West Virginia, and then the next year we was low A in Bowling Green, Kentucky, which is like, it was where the Hilltoppers are, Western Kentucky University.
Sure.
Like, our field's like a few blocks from
which
the campus.
Is nice. So you're in a college town, which is
So we all
awesome.
just got out of college, and we get thrown onto this college campus, but yet we're just playing baseball. And so that was like, it was a lot of fun. Like, I think we didn't win our first 10 games at home. So
I wonder why.
Yeah, I mean, but it was fun, and you learn that you build relationships with guys, and plus you were playing for 5 months, 5 straight months with guys, so you make friends, and you have like just bus rides. Like, bus rides suck, but they're sometimes like somehow fun because you're all miserable together. It's just one miserable happy clan in a way. It's pretty comical. But like for me, it was cool because I'd never been really to the United States. You know, I'd
Right.
been to Arizona.
Sure.
So like when I was
yeah.
driving across the country in the bus, like I was driving through all these farmlands. I thought it was the coolest thing ever. I was like, whoa, look at the silos. Never seen one before. Like, look at the big barn. Never seen one before.
Yeah, yeah,
you know what I mean?
everything's
So for
new.
me, it was kind of neat. And like I thought it was kind of like I didn't mind it.
Yeah.
So it was like it kind of opened my eyes. So I had a blast.
Give me the call up story. Like, how did it happen? Usually there's some good, usually some players have good ones and some it's just, oh, you just called me and said you're coming up. Like, was it a cool story?
Yeah,
Like,
this is
manager
a good
calls
one. Like I had a really good relationship with my manager down there, Charlie Montoyo, and pitching coach Neil Allen, and they were awesome. I mean, everybody loved them, and they were good. And our trainer like texted me like, "Hey man, you home? I'm getting a noise complaint." I'm like, "What?" Like, no, like I'm not doing anything. I'm playing video games. Like, Ashley's in the other room. Like, definitely not me. Like, did not think anything of it. It was more like pissed off. Like, why is Mike texting me that? Like, you know what I mean? And like, sure enough, like 5-10 minutes later, I get this boom, 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 boom on my door. I'm like, what is going on? And I look for the peephole, and it's Charlie and Neil, and they're like, and I open the door, and Kirby, you're going to the big leagues, and I was like, you gotta be shitting me. And so it's good because they gave me hugs and whatever. And Neil's like a crier. He gets emotional or whatever. So he's crying and I'm like trying to hold it in.
I was gonna say he's crying or you're crying.
No,
Both crying.
like he's crying and he's like, "Oh, kid, oh." Do you know what I mean? And that's just how he is. And he's just like, they were such good dudes. And you know, and I close the door and my wife's in the other room. She goes, "No way," and I'm like, "Yeah." And so I kept it together, but first person I got called is I call my dad, right? And he calls and he kind of knew when he answered, Kirby. Like, Dad, son's going to the big leagues. And like that's when I kind of got teared up. And then, you know, by the time I called my brother and my mom and everybody else, like, you know, I'd kind of gotten out. But like I didn't sleep at all that night.
No.
You know what I mean? Too, like
that's probably the outside of birth of your kids and some would argue getting married. I probably would put getting the call to the big leagues ahead of that, you know, but that's just me.
I got no comment. No.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, I got to imagine, man, that's again, the top 3 moment of your life, especially obviously in this career. So
yeah, it was the weirdest thing too, is like, we had a 4:00 game in Tampa. So I get on the flight at like 9. I didn't fall asleep till 4 in the morning. So I slept an hour and a half, 2 hours maybe, but get there and have never had more energy. Do you know what I mean? Like you just got so much adrenaline. And so the game unfolds, and it's kind of funny because Cobb is pitching, and Cobby, like me and him are friends now. Like he works out where I work out.
Yeah.
And he's pitching, and he's got some guys on or whatever, and he's in like the 4th, 5th inning, and he's in some trouble, and he gives up a double, and guys go around. So we're kind of down, like I think we're down like 4 or 5-1 or whatever. And Jake McGee was down there, and he kind of looks down. And he goes, "Hey, Curb, start stretching. You're going in for sure." I was like, "Oh shit, okay."
And this was the first day.
Yeah, this is first day, which is great. It's you want it to happen.
You want it to get over.
You want to just get it over with, right? And so, I mean, sure enough, I mean, it couldn't have been more than 5 minutes later. Phone rings, Curb, get up, boom. I throw 5 balls and I'm ready to go.
And who are you guys playing, by the way?
Playing the Mariners.
Mariners, okay.
Playing the Mariners, and so, I mean, I throw
home game
at the Trop, and usually they say like, anyway, I throw 5, and they're like, "You ready?" I'm like, "I'm good to go." And as soon as I said that, I mean, it was like, boom, he's walking out. I'm like, holy shit! All right, I guess this is go time or whatever. But like, I wasn't nervous. It was weird. Like I was more excited and just like proud. You know what I mean? Like, all right, I made it. Nobody's ever taken me. Let's go get this over with, and I can say I play in the big league.
Yeah.
Whatever happens after that happens.
Not many people from Hawaii. You know, I think I looked. I mean, less than 50 players, you know, made it to the big leagues for Hawaii. So it's a big moment.
You know, so I run in there and I get the ball, like, all right, go do your thing, whatever. And everybody's like, you know, they said not to look around. Like, bullshit. You stand on the, like, I stood on the mountain. I was looking out. I was like, this is fucking awesome. You know, this is awesome. And It went well. I think I came in with a runner on first with 2 outs, and I got a ground ball, and then
Who? I mean, you got to know who you faced first, right? Like that's
I wanna say it was Willie Bloomquist.
okay.
I wanna
Fellow
say
Sun Devil.
right.
Yeah.
I wanna say it was him. It was the Mariners. I'm pretty sure it was him. And then went back out the next inning, and then got a strikeout, ground out, strikeout. So it was
Nice.
good. It went well.
Oh, incredible.
Yeah, I mean, so
And so obviously you stayed up the rest of that year, or did
I
you
stayed
go
up the
back
rest of
down?
that year.
Okay.
Yeah,
And had a
I had a decent year.
decent year, right?
It was
Yeah.
actually a pretty good year
Yeah.
till like literally right at the end. I gave up some runs and it kind of ballooned the ERA a little bit, but I was pitching pretty well.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought they used me pretty well. The cool thing is, like, I always pitched against the Yankees, like, because they were right-handed heavy, and like I knew the pocket that I was going to pitch in, and I was like, and it had Jeter in there, and like, I only got to face him. I faced him once, but I remember facing him, and I was like, this is wild.
And how did it go?
Struck him out.
Struck him out. Sorry, Jeter.
You know, it's like
Nice.
it's wild, but like he gave the little head nod, and you're like,
Yeah.
holy shit, Derek Jeter just did the head nod to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it doesn't get any better than that.
So it was cool. It was cool. Like that was, the my rookie year is still one of my favorite years. I
Yeah.
had a lot
Oh,
of
I'm
fun.
sure.
The guys in the bullpen were great.
I was gonna say, did anybody kind of take you under their wing because first time in the big leagues? Did anybody kind of
yeah.
take care of you? And how did that after the first appearance? Did the vets take you out on town or anything? Any good stories there? Or
So they had Balfour was there, and he took really good care of me. Cesar Ramos too was there, and we hung out a lot. But they always did bullpen dinners on the road, and you know what I mean. Like I had no choice but to go wherever they went, which I didn't care because I was just like, yeah, I'm down to go. Like I don't want to sit in my hotel room. Like I don't know how long this is gonna last. So like, what's big leagues all about? So we would go to bullpen dinners, and it would be a lot of fun because it's just the boys hanging out, and like you're in nice cities and doing things, and it was just fun.
Yeah.
It was just fun.
and a complete change from buses on how'd the plane rides go your rookie year? Was there any I mean, Tampa always kind of had a smaller budget, I guess, or payroll, I should say, smaller payroll. So I don't know if was there anybody on that team making a shit ton of money, or like how were the plans?
There were guys that were definitely rich on that team for sure.
Well, sure.
You know what I mean?
Were the plane rides, to and from different parts of the country, obviously, were there any good, high limit card games?
No, I mean, they played cards. We used to play cards too. Like we had our rookie card game in the back with all the little like our.
And what were you playing there? Dollars, hundreds?
I think
what was
play
the rookies
like
playing with?
$5 Blu-ray maybe. I remember like when the pots would get big, it'd be like $250, like $300, and we'd be pumped. Guys get booed for like $200, and you got put $200 in the pot. Like back in like the way they did it too is you got meal money, right? And so when they come back on the meal money, they give you an envelope full of cash, which is your meal money. So it's like gambling money for the plane.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's what we use, and it was fun. But like, I don't know. I was too scared to go see what the big dogs were doing, so I stayed back where we had our little card game going, which was fun.
Yeah. Nah, it'd be a trip, man. It really would. And then the next year, did you get off to kind of a rocky start? And then
I mean, I kind of got hurt in the last game of spring training, and I didn't want to say anything because I knew I was going to make a Nate roster.
Right.
Like we were pitching in Tampa against the Yankees, and I think it was Jacoby Ellsbury or somebody. I threw a curveball and like felt a twinge in my shoulder, and it was the last pitch of the inning. And that was it was literally my last pitch of the spring. And so I had like a few days off, and they were going to tell you if you made the team or not. So I didn't really I was like, I'm not saying anything because I'm going to make the team. And I did make the team. And then I went out and pitched and tried to pitch through it for like the first, I don't know, 4 or 5 outings. And it sucked. So I had to go on the DL. IL. And so I missed significant time in that. And that was probably the worst season I've had in the big leagues. It was tough.
Yeah.
Like even when I came back, I sucked. Everything I threw over the plate got hit over the fence. I lost my slider. Like that was the start of learning a split, pretty much.
Yeah. Yeah, no worse feeling than knowing they know what's coming and it's going a very long way.
Yeah.
So you ended up though after that, you ended up getting released or traded
So
because you ended up
they
at the Yankees.
yeah, they designated me. They designated me. Cleveland originally claimed me. So I was like a Cleveland Indian. They were still the Indians. So I was a Cleveland Indian for a month maybe, and then they signed Mike Napoli and they designated me, and then the
Okay.
Yankees claimed me. And so I spent the year at the Yankees, made the team out of spring, was doing pretty well. Honestly, first 2 months I was throwing the ball well again. Felt good about it, and then I was warming up a lot every night, kind of, and just got tired. And
How was it playing in
it
New York for
was
that store for the, obviously the most storied franchise in the
it's
and
wild.
maybe sport.
Kind of said this earlier today. Like the most nervous I've ever been in my baseball career, I think, is walking into the Yankees clubhouse for the first time in spring training.
Yeah.
It was wild. Like, thank God, Andrew.
And you were, and I don't want to say there weren't any big boys left, but I mean Jeter wasn't there anymore, right?
But A-Rod was
Bernie,
there.
A-Rod was there, Teixeira. Yeah.
Like
Oh no, they were. Don't get me wrong.
there
They
were some
still.
honchos
Oh yeah,
there.
yeah.
Carlos Beltran,
Beltron.
like
Yeah, yeah,
CC was there. Like
yeah.
there was still the
CC
dudes.
Tanaka.
Yeah, the
right?
dudes were still there.
Yeah.
The dudes were still there, and so like I'd never been so nervous, and like it was like 2 days before camp, and I went in to just kind of put my stuff down, and like didn't know what to do, like just like really nervous, like, and kind of put my stuff down. And Andrew Miller was there, and he just got done, and he was like, "Hey, what's up, dude?" Like started saying hi to me, and like just immediately like eased the tension.
Yeah.
And I was like, we ended up becoming pretty good friends, so that made it like he has no idea how much of a
How
help
much he helped
just
you.
that was,
Well, I can imagine too, because I'm sure you're hearing stories. How was A-Rod as a teammate? Was he all right, or because like you hear stuff
He
where
was
he wasn't?
look, he was so he didn't talk to me for I don't know, a while. Like he didn't. I'm not sure if he knew my like you know what I mean? But once I started pitching a lot, I started pitching good. Like I was doing good, I was doing well. I started struggling for like a week or 2 weeks. And like I'll never forget this. We're in Colorado, and I think he did something to his oblique. So he was either coming back or he was going on the IL, one of the two. And like I'm getting ready to go out to the bullpen, and I'm kind of sitting down watching TV really quick, just like looking up, ready to go. And he's got a coffee, and he comes in, he sits down, he's like, "Hey, I want to talk to you." And I look up, and it's him. I'm like, "Oh shit, okay. Like, what's up, Al? What do you got?" You know what I mean? And he's like, and he starts
He's like,
talking.
what's your name?
He's like Curb. He knew he's like Curb, and so he starts talking to me, and he's just like he starts talking to me about pitching, and he's talking to me himself about hitting, and he's like, "So this is what I see with you. You're going through right now. So don't lose this. Understand that this is really good for you." And like even I would have a hard time hitting it and stuff like that. And I thought that was one of the coolest things, like in my career.
Well,
Like
that has to be great.
right, because it was just me and him,
Yeah,
you know what I
yeah.
mean? And like I didn't ask for it. He just came down and like here's what and it was very very insightful. It was very like
Well, one of the
I
best.
mean,
to ever play the game.
I still ended up going to AAA in a few weeks, but you know what I mean? Like
Yeah, still.
I still remember what he said to this day,
Yeah.
and like, you know what I mean? And it's just to me that was pretty cool.
No, that is pretty cool. How was being a Yankee in the city? Like, was it I don't know, did you get recognized at all? Was it, hey, I play for the Yankees, I'm in any restaurant I want? How was the night? No.
The hard
Take advantage
part
of the nightlife as a Yankee. I gotta imagine it's pretty good.
if your team's good and you're winning, yeah, you can go anywhere you want. But like if you're not winning, it's tough because they only support winners. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like but I lived in this building. I lived on 100th and Columbus Street, like the Upper West Side, which was wild. It was looking back on it, it was really cool. Going through it was like it was tough at times because you couldn't get away. Like you couldn't just go sit on your balcony and get away. Like I had Chubbs, my bulldog, right? And so like our morning ritual, like every morning routine, every morning was I'd wake up, I'd go down to the corner, I'd get like a bagel and a coffee, and we'd go to Central Park, and I'd just let him run around. And he'd do whatever he wants. He'd find sticks, grind on them, and I'd drink my coffee, eat my bagel, and then we'd go back, and I'd go to the field, and that's like that was the escape. That's the only escape you got. You know what I mean? But looking back on it, I mean, it's pretty neat to say like, hey, I lived in New York for
Oh yeah.
however much we lived, and me and Ashley talk about it all the time. Like, it was a great experience. Like, I got so many pictures of Chubbs in Central Park, and like
Yeah.
we used to get yelled at all the time because I'd have him off leash. So all the like park rangers or whoever they are, would, yeah, he's got to be on a leash. I'm like, yeah, okay. But I mean, he didn't do anything. He just,
Yeah.
And then but like all the maintenance guys in my building, like, knew.
Yeah.
And so they would talk to me, like, and they knew Chubb. So they'd be like sitting outside, like on the bench, and me and Chubb's like, hey, Curb. Sometimes good job last night. Dad, and other times, man, like, yeah, sorry, dudes. Like, it's a rough one. And like, you never know how the guys in New York are gonna take you, but the maintenance guys in the building were super cool.
Well, listen, they're not gonna say, even in New York, they're not gonna, maybe in Boston, but in New York, they're not gonna tell you suck to your face most of the time.
I mean, they're honest. You got to respect them. They're honest. It's not like they're lying when they tell you suck because you did suck.
And then from New York, I mean, we don't have to go over your entire career. You ended up at the Angels for a very short time, right? And then that's when you got.
Yeah, Angels. I went to Angels, didn't make the team out of spring training, and then pitched good for 2.5 weeks in AAA with them. They called me up, pitched one game, designated, and then that's when I ended up in San Diego.
And how tough is it when you're, now you have time in San Diego, I mean, not San Diego, Tampa Bay in the big leagues. You have, big leagues in the Yankees, back forth. How tough was it for you, Anaheim, then they send you back? How tough was it going kind of back and forth between the bigs? Because I got to imagine when you get a taste of that big league lifestyle, man, it's tough to go back down to AAA.
It's like, this is your job you've been putting everything into, and it's like you're not grabbing a hold of it. You know what I mean? So like, you keep your opportunities closing. Your opportunities closing rapidly.
And do you feel that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Like, so I mean, ironically, like when Anaheim designated me and I was in the limbo period for San Diego, I mean, I was talking about going to Japan, and Ashley was pregnant with Oakley. I mean, so like,
when did you get married off to? When did you get married to Ashley? So she was with you essentially the entire time.
Oh yeah.
So you never really got to take advantage of big
no.
league. That kind of sucks, huh? Ashley buzzkill. Just kidding.
Yeah, I mean, we've been together since college, so
nah, that's great.
But she was pregnant with Oakley, but we were talking about going to Japan. Like, I was getting serious about just going to Japan. And they were looking,
there was a team interested?
Hiroshima Carp.
Oh, nice.
And so if I didn't get claimed by San Diego, it probably would have been a real opportunity to be like, and I was gonna get double pay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I was gonna make close to $1 million over there. And it's like, how do I go to Japan and take that, or do I go back to AAA? And I'm like, I don't think I'm going to AAA.
Yeah.
But
it would have been a cool fucking experience.
It would have.
I went to a Giants. It might have been a Giants versus Carps game. I don't know who the Giants were playing, but I think it might have fucking electric. Yeah. Probably the coolest baseball game I've ever been to.
The Japanese, like when I went to that. So then a couple years later, I went to the Japan series or whatever when MLB played Team Samurai, and it was the coolest thing I've ever done.
Yeah, it's awesome there. Those people I love Japan. People are great. Place is clean.
Yeah.
So anyway, so you were thinking about going to Japan. Sorry, that was off. Whatever. I just wanted to just say I went to a game in Japan. So you were thinking about it, but you ended up turning that down and going let me give it one last shot kind of thing, or.
Well, San Diego claimed me, and I happened to be in Arizona. They were playing Arizona, and I think that's the only reason why, because they needed a pitcher now or whatever. I don't know how this all worked out, but I was in Arizona. Like, they're like, my agent calls me. He's like, hey, hypothetically, could you pitch tonight? Like, I said, yeah, I mean, I guess. I mean, if I said, I would love to avoid it and play catch. And, and he's like, well, San Diego might be claiming you and you might pitch tonight. And I said,
shit. I'm ready.
All right. I mean, if that's the case, then yeah, sure, I can pitch. And I warmed up. It happened. Called me back like, hey, they're claiming you. Like, you're probably going to chase tonight. Like, okay. And this was probably at 9:30, 10 o'clock in the morning. And then it happened, and I was there, and I warmed up. I didn't pitch, and then I pitched the next night. That kind of started the
And
San
then
Diego thing.
ever since then, you kind of
Yeah.
your career was on
So
the
that
up.
I
You ended up having a pretty good year with San Diego that year, right?
yeah, I mean, I did pretty well. I mean, my ERA was high, but I struck out a lot of guys. I missed a lot of bats. I gave up a few homers, but I mean, for the most part, like I would take that year every year.
Yeah.
It was, I struck out a lot of guys, and that's what you want.
And then the next year you moved in as the 8th inning guy. Is that?
Yeah, I think, yeah. I mean, kind of towards the end of that year, we traded in 17. They traded Maurer, who was closing, Buchter, who was like kind of the 7th, 8th inning left-handed setup, and then Brad ended up closing, and then me and Stamen would do the 7th or 8th inning just based on how they thought they wanted to run it, and it kind of went like that for basically a year until the following year they traded Brad, and then
you got the closer role.
I slid back to the closer, and Craig slid to an 8th inning role.
And the rest is the history. If you guys know, he had the best year you've ever had, right?
Career, yeah, I mean, I thought 18 was really good too. I really do.
But 2019, you had what, like a 1.19 ERA or some, still the lowest ERA in Padre history, right? Or
I'm not sure about that. I don't know. Trevor,
I might have made that stat. I might have made that stat up, guys, but it sounds good. So I would just, if I were you, I'd just go with it.
There's a guy over there named by Trevor Hoffman who's got a lot of accolades.
That's true.
Unreal years.
So, but 2019, you had a great year. You made the All-Star team.
Yeah.
How was that? Like, how was that experience?
It was cool. The wildest thing about the All-Star game is by the time the All-Star game started, I was ready to go.
Really? Just because of all the parties and all the...
I was so tired. I mean, it was awesome because I had my whole family, like, we were playing LA right before the All-Star break, and I flew them up for that series, and I pitched 3 out of 4 games.
Okay.
I got 3. I was on 27 saves, and I was like, there's an outside chance I can get 30 before the break, which would be, that's a pretty good number before the break. You know what I mean? So, like, first night I get 27. I'm like, okay. Second night, or what was it? I got 28 first night, and then second night I got 29, and then I'm like, didn't pitch the next night, and then, or no, I went 3 in a row to get this. So it was back to back to back, 28, 29, and 30. And I was like, they didn't want to pitch me the day game of 30. And I was like, if I can get 30, I want 30.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay. And it's probably one of the most determined, like, I've ever been, like, showing up to the field. Like, if I'm getting this shit.
Just because you wanted 30, or is there a record? Like,
no, it was just like a mental thing.
Like,
you know what I mean?
Like, well, listen, I don't think many people can claim they had 30 saves before the All-Star break anyway.
You know, it's like it's just like, to even like 30 saves a year is like pretty good. I was like, all right, like we can get this out of the way now, and I can go to the All-Star game, and like I had a jet, like we had a whole private jet.
Where was the All-Star game at?
It's in Cleveland.
Okay, Cleveland, that's right.
And so, sure enough, go in 1, 2, 3, get the 30th, get on a jet, and go to Cleveland, and we partied our ass off.
I'm sure.
I mean, I stocked the plane with beer, and it did not last very long. Like, I told our travel guy TJ, I'm like, TJ, dude, we need a lot of beer. I was like, you've seen me in action on flights. There's like 3 other dudes that.
So would they put like 40 Coors Lights on there? What were we?
Oh, dude, we had a lot.
Yeah.
It was at least 48 beers that we went through.
Well, I don't want to brag, but me and a buddy flew from here to Hawaii, Kona. Actually, Josh, me and him flew. And we drank, I believe, 32 longboards on the flight from Phoenix to Kona. Just a subtle brag. But anyway.
3 hours longer flight.
That's true. It's a good point.
You know.
Touche.
And I mean, we showed up, and my brother, I got my brother Spencer is hilarious, right? And so we show up, and we're all I'm keeping it together because I kind of have to, but like he's over there, and I look up, and he's talking to these people, and he's just going, and all these guys are like laughing or whatever, and I'm like, oh no, I don't know, what's he doing or whatever, and he comes back, he's like, dude, these are one of like the ownership groups, they love me. I don't know what team it was, but he was like talking them all up. It's pretty funny.
Oh, that's great. Anybody Anybody during that All-Star game you kind of were like in awe of meeting, or
everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, like Kershaw was in there, like it was kind of wild. And he's like, "What's up, Curb?" I was like, "That's kind of cool." Like, it's just, I mean, like, yeah, I belong there, but like in the grand scheme of things, I was like, dude, I don't know if I belong here.
Right,
You know what I mean? Like,
that's
I'm
everybody.
not a superstar. I'm not one of these guys. Like, you know what I mean? I'm just, I had a good year. Like, I'm here, which is cool. I'm pumped.
That's incredible.
But like, fuck, I don't know if I belong here.
Oh, that's great. And did you end up going to like all the home run derby and all that
Yeah, I
stuff?
went to the home run derby. It was nice. My agent was there. He's a man. Rented out a restaurant for me and my family, so we had like a private dinner after the All-Star game, like, or also the All-Star or the home run derby. So I watched a little bit of the home run derby. I had Oakley down there for a while, and so I was chasing her down, and so like they were like, "Hey, let's go to dinner." I'm like, "Just give me like 30 minutes. Like, let me chill and enjoy this for like 30 minutes by myself." So I watched like 30 to 45 minutes of the home run derby, and then we dipped out, went to our dinner. It was sick. I mean, it was cool. And then after that, we went to like an after party, and I mean, I was so hungover the next day, dude. Like, we had to get up at like 11:30 and then go do this red carpet thing. Like, and I was just like, this is a grinder. And then like you're at the field all day. Like I was at the field at 1. Like, we didn't have anything till 4, and like I'm like, I couldn't take a nap in my chair, but I was like, oh, I want to just take a nap. If I could just get a nap right now, it'd be great. But like, and then once the game and everything, the festivities kind of roll around, you start like snapping out of it a little bit, and like your adrenaline gets pumping again. And I ran back on, like it hit me right before like the anthem and when they're doing all the introductions, because like I go into the dugout and I went a little early. And I just like, you look up and like the first place you look, that's where my family was. Like, it just happened to be there. And like, they're all like jumping up, giving me the shakas or whatever. And that's like, damn. That's, that's when it got a little emotional.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. You didn't end up pitching though in that game, right?
No, I mean,
was that because you pitched 3 games against the Dodgers and the Padres kind of said, we don't want you using
the Padres tried to say whatever. And I talked to Dave Roberts, and he was, I was just did it against him. So he's like, dude, I just saw what you went through. Like, we're not going to pitch you. I'm like, bullshit, Dave. Like, I want to pitch. He's like, really? And I was like, yeah. I was like, dude, I'm like, I'll be fine. Like, don't worry about me. I'll be fine. He's like, okay. And so in between, like before the game started, they called us in, and Will Smith was going to pitch the 7th. Vasquez was going to pitch the 8th, and I was going to pitch the 9th. So like I was going to get a chance to close if we had the lead, which for me was fine.
Yeah.
I was like, dude, good enough for me. You know what I mean? Like, go in and try and save him.
Never got there, right? Because
you guys we were down by 1.
Down. Yeah, that sucks. Sucks getting in the All-Star game and then not pitching in it though, right?
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
it does kind of suck.
Looking back on it, yeah, it would have been great to pitch in it, I guess, whatever. But like,
I mean, don't get me wrong. Again, the whole fucking experience is incredible.
Right.
The parties, the home run, the whole 9. But
I mean,
to finally make an All-Star game, because like you said, listen, you're not a star. Like, you're not Christian. You don't know if you're going back there next year.
Oh no,
or
I mean, the chances of me going back are very
to
high.
not be able to pitch in it that kind of sucks.
Yeah, but like I said, I was okay with the fact that I had a chance to close out an All-Star game.
Yeah, true. I wish I would have got there. So anyway, after the All-Star game, you end up leading I think all of baseball in saves that year, right?
Yeah.
So to brag, not bad, huh? Whatever.
Every once in a while, you can shock yourself,
And then the next year you got it.
Next year is when I got hurt. So the start of hurt, I had bone chip removal, and then 21, I blew out my elbow.
Was that what it was? Bone chip the first time, and then blew out the arm again. Blue Jays signed you, right?
Blue Jays signed me,
and then you got hurt in spring.
Hurt in spring. I mean, there was definitely some questions there. Back and forth. We restructured a deal for me to sign, and it didn't work out. Unfortunately, I blew out, which sucked because, ultimately they finished 1 game out of a playoff spot that year. Right. And it's like,
and you're thinking I could have been the difference.
I would have hoped I could have been helped 1 game, maybe.
Sure.
But oh well.
And then you missed the whole next season recovering. Right.
I made it back in like the middle of August, and I pitched for about a month, and then I had to go back on the IL again.
At what part does at that point does doubt start creeping and going? Did I play my last game? Did you ever think of
I
that at
had
all?
doubt the entire time.
Yeah.
Because even when I was pitching in 22, my elbow felt terrible. Like it felt okay, but like
But that was towards the end of the year too, right? Like,
that
did
was
you
just
miss
me coming.
mostly?
I missed all of it. Came back in the middle of August, and
Okay, August, right?
the weird thing is like the more I pitched, the more I was starting to able to like do what I did before, but my elbow started hurting more and more and more. And so like finally it just like I pitched in Seattle, and like the next day it hurt pretty bad. And I told them, and I was like, dude, I don't know if I could like I can pitch today, but if there's any way you can stay away from it, it'd be great. And they did, and like we went home. Like it was like 2 days, and then I had like 3 days off, and it still felt like shit. And that's when I was like, I don't know if like I don't think I can do this. So
Yeah.
I had to go on the IL, and like missed, basically was done for the rest of the year. I mean, I started throwing like live VPs towards when we were in playoffs, like towards the end. So like I was healthy again to pitch. Like it got better, but like still going into last year, I was like, if it doesn't get better, like this could be the end.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thankfully, it got better.
Thankfully, it got better. And as we discussed to start the show, you had I think, a really great 2023. So only bigger things next year. All right, let me ask you. I'm going to put some, just some random questions. Nothing crazy, just kind of, favorite city, favorite stadium,
Okay.
that kind of stuff to start. So with that, who was your favorite player growing up?
Ken Griffey Jr.
Okay, the kid, huh?
The kid, he was the man.
Okay.
I used to emulate him all the time. Drop tennis balls and hit them as far as I could, and go walk and do it again.
Yeah, no, he was great. My favorite player was Dale Murphy.
Dale Murphy.
Still trying to figure out why Dale Murphy's not in the Hall of Fame. If anybody has that answer, let me know. Makes no sense to me.
I don't think it makes sense to a lot of people.
Did you meet? I didn't even ask you, but now that it's coming, did you
he was
meet
around.
Dale?
He was around. Did I ever like meet him? Like, hey, how's it going? I don't think so, but like he was around.
Fuck, I love that guy.
He was talk. He would talk. He'd be around. He's talking to a lot of guys. He had his own thing, He had his guys that he would talk to.
Talk to more.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm sure if I walked up to him and
yeah, of course,
you know what I mean.
Of course. Anyway, if you're listening to the Hall of Fame committee, I think it's time's passed, but I think maybe the old committee or whatever it goes.
Oh yeah.
I think they can put him in. So let's do the man right and put him in the Hall of Fame already. It's enough. Anyway, sorry I had to go on a tangent because every year the Hall of Fame ceremony happens every year. I gotta go, well, how's Dale Murphy not in there? Who was the toughest batter you ever faced?
I still think it's Christian Yelich.
Really?
Yeah. Especially like he's still tough now, and it's not an easy out. Like I faced him this year. I think I got him out, but like he hits a rocket at somebody every time.
Yeah.
He's just bat to ball is really good. And when he was the MVP and stuff like that, it was he could hurt you all fields, power and whatever, and he stayed on everything. Like I don't know, I just don't. Maybe he sees the ball really good off me because it seems like he's on everything I throw him.
But you got him out last time.
Yeah, so take that barrels.
Yeah, announce it out. Who's for you the easiest? Like you see him on deck on deck circle, and you go, okay, we're out of this inning.
Jeez.
Don't be scared to say it. There's somebody, and everybody knows. I mean, they're big leaguers. Everybody get a hit, but I mean, somebody's 0 for 4 or 0 for 6 against you. I imagine. Who is that guy? Let's let it out of the. Let's bury him right now.
There are guys I've had good success off of, but it's never. I never like want them to come to play. It's not that I want them to come to play. It's just.
No, I'm not saying. Listen, like, I don't want to get you in
trouble. Certain guys can't hit pitches that I throw.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So let's say this guy's on, coming up next. You go, okay, this guy can't hit what I'm throwing. Who is that person?
I don't know, because last year I felt like I stunk, so it was hard for me to pick. It used to be
last year you stunk. Nobody got a hit off you. Your average was like 178 against you.
Effectively wild. It's usually like any right-handed hitter.
Ooh, okay. Oh,
Like
so all you right-handed hitters can't hit them. I got it.
if I'm in a pickle and I look on deck and it's a right-handed hitter, like bottom of the lineup right-handed hitter, like I'll take my chances with him.
I should have looked this up and said the name. This one's on me because you can look to see who's 0 for 6, 0 for 7 or whatever against somebody. So damn it. Next time you'll be a repeat guy, I'm sure. So next time you're on, I'll have the guy that you don't want to bury, you know.
No, I'm not burying anybody.
Favorite city to go out after a game.
Go out after a game? Chicago's always good because you play day games.
Yeah. Which could suck the next day though, but you have more
but
time.
like you get home early. It's not like you're partying
okay.
till 2 a.m.
Okay.
Like you're going to sleep at like 11. You know what I mean? It's like I'm not gonna go to sleep any earlier either.
Yeah.
Even if I didn't go anywhere. So like Chicago, the day games is cool because you always have you can go to a nice dinner and still be home at a reasonable hour. Chicago. Seattle's got my favorite sushi restaurant ever.
Oh, okay.
I go there. This place stays open till like 2 a.m. or 1:30 in the morning. So usually I eat there almost every night after a game. It's called the Umi Sake House, and it's
Never been to Seattle, but if we go,
it's phenomenal.
We'll have to write that down.
You ever been to Seattle?
Never been to Seattle.
Seattle's beautiful.
We have never been. Really, haven't gone to the Northwest much, to be honest with you. Whistler, and which again is in Canada, so I guess technically it's not Northwest of America, but yeah, it's Whistler, Vancouver is kind of the only. Haven't been to Washington, Oregon, Montana.
Seattle's good. I mean, like Seattle's very pretty. Seattle's a good city. Seattle's one of my,
one of your favorite places to visit. What's your favorite ballpark to pitch in?
To pitch in? Just strictly pitching, probably Milwaukee.
Really?
Yeah, I love that mound. I don't know why. It feels like I'm standing. You're the hitter, and I'm this close. I'm like, I feel like I'm right on top of you.
Pitch well there.
Yeah. Pitch well. Feels good. Feels like I'm throwing hard, even though if I'm not. Like, it's good. I think best atmosphere in baseball is Wrigley.
Wrigley?
I think Wrigley's cool.
Wrigley day game for me is as good as it gets.
Yeah, I would agree.
Boston's pretty good too. How was that? Like pitching for the Yankees in Fenway? That had to be pretty good. Or sitting in the bullpen.
Yeah.
In Fenway.
See, like Fenway was cool. Like the first couple times, like I showed up, I was like, "Holy, it's Fenway!" Like whatever. And then now it's like when you show up to like play the game, it's like it's kind of a grind.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's still cool. Like it's still Fenway and it's still awesome. But like, it's the bullpen sucks. It's so uncomfortable down there and like you can't see and so it's a little bit of a grinder. So, but yeah, we got yelled at. Yankees fan, you got yelled at. We got walked off there. I think we were making a run and it was like probably middle of September and we were playing really well and I think we were like 3 games out going into the series. So I think if we like would have won the series, it would have kind of put us closer.
Yeah.
And we got swept in a 4-game series. And the last game was Sunday Night Baseball. And Henley Ramirez hit a 3-run homer. And this place was going nuts. And you have to walk all across the field from the bullpen. Yeah. And this place was just going berserk. Just absolutely letting us have it.
Yeah, I always loved Fenway. Fenway, Chicago. I mean, to me, Wrigley and Fenway are the two.
Yeah.
And actually, I love for the new stadiums. I love San Diego. Honestly, I like that stadium.
Petco's sweet.
Petco's a nice stadium. All right, how many most beers you've seen a teammate crush on? Let's say a cross country.
Is this the Wade Boggs?
It's the Wade Boggs question, so everybody's got to ask it, right? I mean, what was Wade? Wade's was like 40 something that he claims.
Yeah,
right.
And I mean, I feel like there's been numerous people that I know have confirmed this.
Yeah.
That were actually like staff members on the team in Tampa.
Well, I don't think Wade's full of shit. I believe it.
So, I mean, I would.
Was there a lot of drinking on the cross country flights?
I mean, I went out. Yeah. I mean, I slammed some beers.
Yeah. Well, I'd expect nothing less.
Yeah.
What are we talking? What's the most you've slammed? You think on?
I don't know.
12.
I stopped counting in high school. No, I mean,
That's a good answer, actually. The DA top, that's good. Like, what's counting in high school? That's clever.
let's just put it this way: they fill up a bin. If you're on a cross country flight, by the time you land, the bin's pretty cool.
Yeah,
like, empty.
yeah. Not last one. Actually, this one's actually about your wife, Ashley.
Mm-hmm.
I was reading that because I'm jealous because I don't have the balls to do it, but I think I probably have 5 minutes. I think I could do maybe, but I saw that Ashley did. She's a big fan of comedy.
Yeah,
and I saw she actually did some open mics and
she did.
was she wanting to become a comedian and actually get into it? What's the?
It was more of like therapeutic for her. So she started doing it. She did it the first time, and she was like really like kind of drunk and like pumped up and woo. Do you know what I mean? And like her joke.
And were you there for her first open mic?
Her joke.
And where was that at?
It was in downtown. The first one was in downtown.
San Diego or here?
No, here.
Okay.
And
that's got to be tough for you. Like my wife, she likes to karaoke.
Yeah.
She can't, God bless her, everybody knows she can't sing to save her life. Now she'll put a show on, but she can't sing. And I'm sitting there and she's kicking her feet and doing it. She can't sing and I'm just cringing. So I imagine for you with a wife that's somewhat first, and listen, if you don't kind of bomb on an open mic night, your first time, it's going to happen, right? So how are you?
I was like, kind of like, if she starts getting yelled at, this is going to be kind of funny. Like, you know what I mean? But she didn't bomb. Like, she's making she had all the women laughing the first time. The second time she went back, she was really under control. And like, she had the place like going pretty good. Like, some of her jokes I wrote some of them, so they're pretty good.
That's what okay. So, all right.
No, but she did well. Like I don't think she did it a third time in San Diego. I wasn't there. It was with a couple of her friends, but she hasn't been back and done it since. I think
has she thought about doing it again, or?
I think she's thought about it, but I don't think she really. I think she's like, she kind of got it out.
I have one more question, and we're going to end it because we've gone longer than I expected, but it's been, I think, a pretty good episode one. I mean, first episode, I'm kind of a mediocre host, so bear with me. But anyway, I think it's been pretty good. This is the last question I'm going to ask almost all my guests, not all of them, and it probably won't be the last question, but I'm going to ask this of most guests. And all my friends know, I have a little bit of IBS. Okay. So I get myself in a lot of shitty situations, no pun intended. So I've had to, here's the thing, I've never shit my pants. I've been in a lot of close calls. So I'm curious for you, what's the worst place you've had to take a shit in? Like you can't make it home. You're on a vacation. Oh boy, it's go time.
This isn't the worst place to take shit, but like I've done it a lot. Like I've been out surfing and like you gotta take a shit, so you just like kind of paddle away from the lineup, and take shit, and then
that is bad.
Paddle back and like the fish are coming up smoking it. You know what I mean? Like,
because I'll tell you, I had a situation like that at Lake Powell. And it's the only time I've ever shit in water, but my stomach was hurting and we're on a boat and you're nowhere to, there's nowhere to go. I'm like, fuck, stop the boat. All right, I'm getting out. I get out and shit in Lake Powell. And I got to tell you, it's, like you said, it's not the worst place because it's actually kind of a nice, it's kind of a nice place, but at the same time you feel, I don't know, it just felt dirty.
Feels weird.
Feels dirty. So I hear you. That's a good one. That's a good one. I think let's end on that note. Kirby, thank you for coming on episode 1.
Episode 1.
Again, I got a feeling, hopefully this goes more than one episode, and have a feeling you'll be a regular, guest.
Let's do it.
Thanks again. That's a wrap, guys. Boom.
Sick.